Coming up on No Pulp, we'll revisit how each of this weekend's Final Four participants got to this stage.
And how will those Final Four teams fare? Who's going to cut down the nets? We'll both predict.
I'm excited for that. I'm also excited for the juicer between Drew Albaugh himself and Sydney Chen. You won't want to miss it. It is a fun hour-long edition of No Pulp Final Four preview. Buckle in. It starts right now.
Lane Kiffin is the same old scumbag who takes off for the next best thing again.
I have a man crush, and it's Caleb Wilson, Max. I love this guy.
Solano's in trouble, hit as he throws, hangs it up towards the end zone, and it's intercepted! Virginia has done it!
You can never doubt UConn. You can never doubt Gino Auriemma at the end of the day.
I feel like you could have blocked a 6'4" linebacker coming at you while you were...
Call or no, Holloman looks the clock, half court for the win!
When you got the best player in the country, you can really do anything.
Nobody expected DJ Lagway to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country because last year he wasn't good either.
First time, how are we feeling, Jake?
I'm excited to win the juicer.
A century of utility is forgotten. The Indiana Hoosiers are the kings of college football.
And with that, welcome into another edition of No Pulp. He's Drew Albaugh.
Yes.
I'm Sam Reis. Drew, something about this weekend gets me fired up. Final Four weekend. I know you're excited. I am as well. This should be a fun time.
I mean, there's nothing better to it, right? For my money, March Madness, the best sporting event in all of the land.
Yeah.
And this is really the climax. This weekend, yes, the national championship is great, but for my money, these couple of Final Four matchups, get your popcorn out, Sam.
Oh, yeah. And just a couple of weeks ago, there were 68 teams announced in the field battling for a national title.
Just like that.
And just like that, we're down to 4. UConn versus Illinois, and of course, Arizona taking on Michigan in a battle of the 1 seeds. We're going to start things off, though, with the season soundtracks here. So here's the gist to it. We're going to reflect on the season these teams have had to get to this point, to get to the Final Four. So for each of these, we're going to have a biggest hit right here. First big hit, I should say, and then the biggest flop, and then the masterpiece for each team over the course of the season. So I'm going to defer to you first, Drew, to talk about Illinois, the 3 seed that's made it to championship weekend.
Right, you know, one of the biggest surprises, maybe the biggest surprise in this Final Four, and my first big hit where I thought this team might have a chance to cut down the nets. How about an 88-82 victory over number 4 Purdue? In mid-January, this was one where Illinois finally, kind of conquered that top 5 team, still their highest ranked win of the season, and they were down by 4 with 3 minutes to go and still took down Purdue. Keaton Wagler scored a career high 46 points, Sam. 46! I mean, are you kidding me? He was 9 for 11 from 3. You see him right there. He could not be stopped, and Illinois on the road took down number 4 Purdue, their 9th win in what turned out to be a 12-game winning streak. And this was really the first hit in the soundtrack where I said, man, this music sounds pretty good, and I think these tunes could go all the way to the championship. Still one more win, of course, to do that. But yeah, this was a big one here.
Yeah, a Wagler breakout game, to say the least. He was unbelievable. All right, let's go to the negative, though. Biggest flop on the course of this season for Illinois.
Wah, wah, wah. You see the glass marks shattered. It was a close loss to a good team. UCLA got the better of Illinois in overtime, 95-94, about a month after their big hit. Sometimes artists do that, you bring out a good song, then all of a sudden a big flop happens. 0-4,
what a stat. What a stat.
0-4 in overtime games this season, all against Big Ten opponents, and Illinois couldn't get it done against, once again, a good UCLA team, but still, this was one where you wanted to win it, especially because there was a 15-point lead with 11:34 remaining in the tournament loss to Wisconsin. And against UCLA, Illinois was up by 23 points and lost. So it kind of shows Illinois, even when there's big double-digit leads, it's not enough for Illinois necessarily to put the foot off of the gas. You saw it here against UCLA in the biggest flop of the season.
Yeah, I didn't realize that Illinois in those tight games repeatedly It fell a bit short, something to keep in mind for this weekend. But let's go to the masterpiece. When it was all put together late season, what is that game for you, Drew?
Oh, it was so sweet. And you know why?
Why is
Because
that?
it was the Sweet 16.
I like what you did there.
And not the Beatles, it's Illinois. And the masterpiece, 65-55, the win over Houston. This was one of the better 2 seeds that I can remember, Sam.
Yeah.
And Illinois.
I said they were title contenders.
Right, and Sampson and all of them. And Illinois got it done quite convincingly, too. I mean, led pretty much the entire second half. And if Illinois can beat Houston, it can pretty much beat anybody on the right day. And that's why this was the masterpiece. If the game against Purdue didn't show me that Illinois could win the whole thing, well, this certainly did. And I think it kind of opened the eyes to a lot of the world on this Illinois team. I mean, I really do. This was a squad where even in the Elite Eight felt doubted. And the Sweet 16 certainly felt doubted. But after a couple of big victories, of course, the biggest against Houston.
Yeah, I like that. That was their masterpiece moment for sure for this Illinois team.
The creme de la creme. All right, well, this is the Illinois squad. Who are they going to face off against? UConn after that big shot. Sam, I'm going to hand it over to you. First hit, flop, masterpiece, UConn Huskies.
All right, yeah, let's get to it. First hit, it took a while, in my opinion, for this UConn team to finally land on that first hit. And it came in late February, actually, in that 72-40 thrashing against St. John's. That was a statement type of performance. I went back and forth on this UConn team throughout the season. I was never really sold on them until this game.
That was dominant.
I know you're probably saying, oh, they beat Florida, they beat BYU. They actually beat Illinois, who they're going to play on Saturday. Those were tight games. I still wasn't really sold because they had a few bad losses mixed in there. And I did think this was a really good St. John's team that was absolutely just dominated in this game. I mean, look at these unbelievable stats. And this came actually 2 weeks after UConn had lost to this very squad as well. Held St. John's to just 14 second half points. St. John's in the final 20 minutes of that game, 2 for 28 from the field. I mean, UConn's defense just clamped down on them. Yes, it was a bad performance as well from St. John's, but this was their first hit, in my opinion. It took a while, but they got there.
I was about to say, you could argue it was the Florida game, but of course, February 25th, kind of a late rise here, but still a good first hit. All right, flop.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, we got the glass shattered.
We
here.
do. Glass shattered.
Solo ball, UConn Huskies. What artwork we got here.
This is great, and what wasn't great was them losing to Creighton a week before that St. John's thrashing. 91-84 at home. This is why I wasn't admittedly a believer in this UConn squad. They were playing a lot of these mediocre and lower tier type of Big East teams close. It's a bad Creighton team. It is. And to do this at home, too. They don't lose, whether it's at Gamble Pavilion, great arena, by the way, I was there the other week, or, in Hartford where they play some home games, too. They don't really lose at home. Their only other loss at home was to Arizona, and that's respectable. So I don't think this is a result anyone really saw coming. This was a Creighton team that finished 2 games below 500, both overall and in conference play. The Huskies just weren't themselves in this game, and it was late enough into the season where it did concern me at that moment. But like I mentioned, a week later, they bounced back with that win against St. John's. So talk about recovering from your biggest flop.
Yeah, for sure. You had the big flop, a big rebound with the first hit, and then the masterpiece. Here we go. What do you got over here?
Yeah, I like how we got some Playboy Cardi theme stuff.
We got Reed and blood.
We do. Masterpiece has to be the other day against Duke. It wasn't all pretty, but the comeback had so much aura. I mean, come on.
Aura.
A lot of aura. 73-72. Everyone counted UConn out in this, and they said, I'm going to deliver the masterpiece. Down by 19 points in this game. And the first ever team to overcome a 15-point deficit at the half against the #1 seed. And that's happened like 135 times. And 1 seeds were undefeated in those scenarios.
That is ridiculous.
It was pretty funny seeing a Duke choke job because they've done it in back-to-back years now. The Blue Devils seem to always just fall short. But you have to give UConn a ton of credit. Led by their coach, Dan Hurley. They're not quitters, right? They kept at it after, let's face it, a bad offensive performance in that first half. And then the shot everyone knows about.
Look at this.
Mullins from
basically
the logo at midcourt. nailing it. I mean, it was unbelievable, especially when you consider how bad they were from 3 before that game. A masterpiece isn't pretty throughout, right?
Yeah, right.
But it was a strong finish, and it was just so eloquent the way it wrapped up because of that shot right there.
And Sam, this was a UConn team down by 19.
Yeah,
right.
That's what I was saying. I mean,
never counted them out, but at one point you felt like, I mean, it was right there where you were willing to say, all right, Duke's going to run away with this one. And Dan Hurley does what Dan Hurley does, kind of incite some life into his team. And then how about that shot? I don't know if you can see it, but the artwork inside the record player here.
Yeah.
Mullins with his hands up. Wow, what a big shot there. Definitely the masterpiece.
That's got to be the masterpiece for sure. All right, let's move on to the other matchup. This is a national championship caliber matchup between Michigan and Arizona. We're going to start with the Wolverines, Drew. Take me through it, starting with the first hit from Michigan.
I'm going to go with, I don't know, maybe a 50-point win over Gonzaga. I mean, that's not bad, right? In Vegas, 101 to 61, and this truly was a first hit. All the way back on November 26th. When Michigan did this, I think the whole world was like, will Michigan ever lose another game? Because a 50-point win over Gonzaga and Mark Few, that doesn't happen. I mean, it simply never happens. The first 40-point loss since 1990 for Gonzaga, and this was a 50-point loss. This was truly domination for Michigan. A 50-point avalanche.
That's 40.
Oh, goodness. Well, I can't do math.
Well, we've
Sam.
already established this on other shows at the station.
We
we
should pull up that clip.
It's still a blowout.
There's a reason that we're listening to music here and I'm not doing math. 40, 50, 60. I mean, it doesn't matter. This was domination over the Bulldogs.
Fun fact, I was fortunate enough to be out in Vegas during this time. I could have gone to that game. I decided to go to the Vegas Golden Knights game. That went to a shootout, a little more competitive. I was happy with my decision, but I missed out on some Michigan greatness. But the Wolverines did have a few losses. What was their biggest flop?
Yeah, I'm actually not even going to go with a loss. I think the Wolverines are kind of like, Drake maybe in a moment. Like, even the bad songs are still pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's a close win over Penn State, 74 to 72, January 6th. And this is a Penn State team that finished bottom of the Big Ten, and you win by just 2 points. A couple weeks later, Michigan beats them by more than 20. So this was kind of just an off night for this Michigan squad. And it was a game where you kind of see, I mean, just look at the stats between the Nittany Lions and the Wolverines. Net ranking, 142nd for Penn State, second for Michigan, and yet it was a 2-point win. Penn State entered the game 9-6, lost the next 14 of its 17, and Michigan won by just the 2 points. Had 12 turnovers in this one, shot below 50%, and it showed a lapse in this Michigan team that I didn't see previous.
That was surprising.
Hasn't really shown it since. So, I mean, that's a good thing, but this certainly was a little bit of a flop despite still getting the victory and coming out on top.
I agree. That's a good shout. I don't think we'll ever see a day where Penn State has a good basketball program, but that's neither here nor there. Masterpiece, though, for this Michigan team. What is it, Drew?
A win over Tennessee. In the tournament, it has to be 95-62 because this was utter class. Nothing Tennessee could do about this. Michigan dominated in the front court, in the back court, rebounding, especially in the paint. I mean, Michigan has 3 guys that are going to get drafted that all used to be centers and just absolutely took it to a Tennessee squad that was labeled as quote-unquote physical. Well, Michigan showed who was really physical in this one and never trailed, no fear in this team, and handed Tennessee its largest loss under Rick Barnes as head coach. It was not close, Sam, and a 95-62 win against any team, let alone against Tennessee in March Madness.
In the Elite Eight.
In the Elite Eight.
First spot in the Final Four.
I mean, that has to be a masterpiece. The 22-point halftime lead, 4th largest in Elite Eight history. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, I mean, the 21-0 run. That's what put it away early in this game. I mean, I was watching this, anticipating it to be a close one.
Right.
Yeah, but disappointing from Tennessee. I guess when you lose to Syracuse, you're not that good. You're not Final Four caliber.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. Yeah.
All right, so here's Michigan, but there's still one more team to go over the sounds of the season. Who's the adversaries? The Wildcats. Arizona, the other #1 team here. And Sam, you know the drill. We got first hit, flop, masterpiece.
Let's
first hit for this Arizona squad. There's a lot of different ways you could go here.
Yeah, so I was talking about UConn earlier and me not really being sold on them. The first hit took a while. For Arizona, though, the first hit came early for me, and it was them winning at UConn. I mean, I was sold on this team pretty early, that the Wildcats were legit, were a national championship contender. Of course, they started the season off 23-0. It is not easy to go across. They went across the country midweek. This was in mid-November, still early, right? Still trying to kind of develop as a team. And they went across the country to Gamble Pavilion, a place UConn only lost at twice this season, including this game, the other being that bad Creighton loss I mentioned. And they got the job done. I mean, this was a statement type of win for the Wildcats. You see it right there. They were the tone setters out of any team in the nation, in my opinion, because they not only played challenging non-conference opponents, but they also won all of those 5 games against top 25 teams. Not to mention, they are in the Big 12, which was a loaded conference slate. Once that rolled around, they were ready to go because of a win like this.
Yeah, it didn't take long. November 19th, early bird over here, right?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Early first hit.
Was it an early flop? What happened here?
No, it was a later flop, because how could it be an early flop? This team just kept winning for the longest time, but finally, in the middle of Big 12 play, they hit a little bit of a stumble, right? And that Texas Tech loss at home is where I point to, middle of February.
Good Texas Tech team.
Yeah, but it's good. It's hard to find a flop.
Right,
I mean,
it's true.
you know, you can't give me too much here because it's tough. Like, I don't think there's a true flop with this team, but if there's any point to, I should say, game to point to, it was this one, where Arizona, speaking of a team good at home, this was their only loss all season in their own gym. And it was coming off of a loss to Kansas. Now, that loss to Kansas was on the road. I get it. Allen Fieldhouse, not an easy place to play. It ended their 23-0 start to the season. That's all right. But then you follow that up with this game where they were just underwhelming overall. This game went to overtime, and no one really showed out for them. Coa Pete also had an injury that made him miss the rest of this game. So this was the one moment in the season where a loss at home, back-to-back defeats, you're thinking, is there something brewing here with Arizona in a negative direction? They've gone on to win 13 straight, so the answer's no.
Yeah, even the flop, I mean, a 3-point loss at Texas Tech.
I mean, this team's legit.
You'll take that. All right, first hit, flop, and finish it off with the masterpiece, the bucket.
The bucket. Well, they were getting a lot of buckets in the Sweet 16 a week ago tonight against Arkansas. I mean, that was a masterpiece and a half. 109 points.
Yeah.
In week 2 of March Madness, I mean, what on earth? Against a good Arkansas team that was coming in with momentum, right? They've got a stud in Darius Acuff. They won the SEC. And I thought this would be a little more competitive.
Bang.
I was a fool because Arizona, their offense was just remarkable in this one. Most points scored in a game this season.
Couldn't miss, Sam.
They couldn't miss. 6 different players in double figures. So, you know, not only were all the starters balling out, but even the guys off the bench were doing their thing. And what I love about the Wildcats, I'm going to dive into it a little bit more later, but they're a team who doesn't shoot a lot of threes.
Yeah.
I hate how that's what the game has evolved into. Arizona only shot 8 threes this game and still scored 109 points.
And it shows you can do it, right?
It shows
kind of
you
reminds
can
me
do
of Taylor Swift's career arc here. Do you agree?
I don't know enough
flops.
about Taylor Swift, so I know some stuff about Ken Carson and stuff, but not Taylor Swift.
Does it
I'll
resemble
take
any of
word
your
for it.
rappers over here? I mean,
I'm not sure. I'd have to think on that. I can
Okay.
think about it during the break because we're up against our first one here on No Pulp, but you'll want to stick around because after this, it's the juicer. Drew Albaugh versus Sydney Chan, 2 former producers on the show, now in front of the camera, battling it out. You won't want to miss it. well, it's time. The juicer, baby.
It's time.
A tournament, that hasn't gone so well for me. I won't get into that.
You have your opinions on that.
Yeah, I like it, but that's why I'm the judge today. We have Drew Albaugh taking on Sydney Chan. I'm excited for this one, guys, and it's all Final Four related questions. We'll start with you, Sid, for the first one, worth 1 point. This Final Four is the best one on paper since
2025, and it isn't close. If we're talking on paper, we're looking at seeding, analytics, and overall dominance. And that group from last year is about as perfect as you can get. You have all 4 #1 seeds, elite on both ends of the floor, and no real flaws. But beyond that, it was how much those Final Four separated from the rest of the sport. There was a massive 4.5-point gap in net rankings between #4 Auburn and #5 Tennessee. Yeah, this year is maybe a little bit more interesting stylistically, but when you're looking at pure dominance on paper and how much they stood above the rest, 2025 is the standard.
But Sydney, I mean, it's 4 1 seeds. I don't know how much entertainment value is
It's
in that.
eliteness across the board.
All right. I call that chalk. But you know
it's
what
called
is
right.
All right, we'll have to see. I'm going to go with 2022. And that Final Four, there was a little bit of everything, including, I don't know, how about UNC versus Duke? Does it get any better than that? And on the other side, you go Kansas and you go Villanova. But it was really the UNC Duke game between a couple of legendary coaches, and not so much. Obviously you got Coach K, you have Self for Kansas, who ended up winning the whole thing. It was the 8 seed UNC that ended up getting to the national championship and took down Jay Wright's Villanova to get there, and took down North Carolina in the championship. This was an all-timer, Sam, against 4 of the best coaches of all time. It wasn't just chalk.
It's strength. It's that storyline, not strength.
I got you.
The storylines.
Okay, both good picks. I get what you're saying, Sydney, with all 4 #1 seeds, but
it's not.
Best Final Four on paper, that was a great
one.
On paper,
I got to admit, his has a 20-point difference between
UNC
the different games. That shows that across the board it wasn't elite.
I got to go with Drew for this.
Sorry, Charlie.
It's just the first point. Here we go. Question 2 worth 2 points. Which team has the most glaring weakness, and what is it? I'll start with you, Sydney.
It's Arizona, and it's their lack of perimeter offense. And that's because Arizona ranks 357th in the country in three-point attempts. That's 8th worst in the nation. And that's because Arizona's entire offense is built inside. They do a lot of points in the paint. They rank top 5 nationally in that. They live at the free throw line. When you're looking at their exact matchup in Michigan, that makes it an even more glaring weakness because Michigan is built to take that away. The Wolverines rank top 5 in opposing 2-point percentage, which means they're extremely physical inside. You said it, Drew, earlier. They limit their fouling. So now you're asking Arizona to win outside of its identity, which they don't have the actual volume of perimeter shooters
Arizona doesn't need to win outside of its identity.
Yes, they do. When they're going against Michigan.
We could barely find a flop. I don't know if there's a weakness on that Arizona team.
All right, let's get to
I'm going to go with Illinois. And they just can't force the turnovers. Doesn't make teams uncomfortable.
That's not what they're built on, though.
Illinois is last in the entire country in forced turnovers per game, under 8 a contest. And against elite teams like a UConn, you gotta make them uncomfortable. And Illinois hasn't done that all season long. Good teams, when they don't get sped up, can pick you apart. Forced double-digit turnovers just once this season. This is an Illinois team that's going to let UConn do whatever it wants offensively. It's going to sit back. It's going to crunch down the game in a way that I think Dan Hurley, maybe the best coach in all of college basketball, is going to completely exploit.
That's a stat, but that's not actually a structural problem.
In the entire country.
Okay, I get what you're both
Arizona
saying.
put up 109.
I'm less concerned, though, about Arizona having to overcome.
That's because you're obsessed with Arizona. It's your Arizona bias.
No, it's not. They just scored 109 points with barely shooting the 3.
Thank you.
So I think they can overcome that more than what Drew's talking about with Illinois. So 2 points to Drew. You're not out of it yet, though.
Okay, sure,
if you win this one, we go to the bonus point. But it is a 3-0 lead for Drew. Question 3, 3 points on the line here. The role player that needs to step up the most. We're going to start with you this time.
I'm going to go back to Illinois. I'm going to go with Andre Stojakovic. This is a guy that has not started since mid-February. So this means that he is a bona fide role player, but he still averages double-digit points, can get hot at any moment, averages over 13 points a game, 4 rebounds, And Stojakovic is kind of the straw that stirs the drink for Illinois, especially off the bench. And that's where Illinois likes him. He's the perfect role player, and if he doesn't get involved, this could be scary. I mean, it really could. The last 3 games, he's shot 58% against VCU, over 60% from Houston, and almost 80% against Iowa. If Stojakovic was not that efficient, you can only imagine what would have happened with this Illinois squad, right? This is a guy that had 60% or higher from the field in 3 straight games in March Madness.
All right, Sydney, let's go.
So the difference between our answers is that Stojakovic is part of the system at Illinois, but Braden Burries is the system at Arizona.
It's a role player. The question
Illinois
is
has
role
5
player.
or more players that can consistently score in double figures. The bulk and block, if you will. Meanwhile, Braden Burries is their guy. He leads the team in scoring. He leads the team in minutes and 3-point makes. The next guy up is 19 threes behind him. In the tournament already, he's averaging nearly 18 points a game. He's scoring over 67% from 3, and that matters because, like I said earlier, Arizona's entire identity is built inside. If he's not on his A game, if he's not making the plays for the bigs to actually score, then their entire offense is going to fall apart, especially against Michigan.
All right. I get both of your points here, and for this one, I do have to go with Braden Burries. I do.
God.
I think because
you
have to consider the opponent too.
But
and
exactly,
I think
you
he
just
has
said
to
it.
come
He
up
is the
big
system.
But the question
to
is
take down
role
Michigan.
player.
3 points
Oh.
for Sydney. Bonus
Yeah.
question. Here we go. Let's make it quick. Star
All
player
right.
you're most scared will come up short. Drew.
Alex Karaban had just 5 points
No.
against Duke in 38 minutes
No.
on the court. 5 points in 38 minutes. This is a Karaban who has not played great, against these top-end talents. I don't
So
think
he's
he's
not
going
a star player that's going to show up.
I'm scared. He put up 5 points last time out.
Meanwhile,
all right, let's go
from
to Sydney,
Illinois,
quickly.
Keaton Wagler, I'm scared for him. And here's
Why?
why. He is
The
by
best player
far
in the
their
tournament?
player. And that's why. Because, as we saw earlier
How are
this
you
season,
scared of him?
UConn got him into foul trouble. And he's going to do that again. And if he's on the bench, he's not going to be able to impact, and that's the risk.
All right. It all came down to this bonus question, and I have to say, Drew Albaugh gets the win with Alex Karaban. I think there's more pressure on his shoulders. Keaton Wagler, I have more faith in to get it done. I
No.
do. Great game. Great game.
Oh, my God.
You'll get him next time, Sydney.
Wow.
4
You still got a
to 3.
few years.
Drew wins a thriller. That was a heck of a battle. Let's check out the
Oh,
juicer
my
standings.
goodness.
Oh, I just made you 2-0. That's not a good
my
idea.
goodness.
Oh
Why did I
my
do that?
gosh.
All
I'm
right.
sweating over
Look what
here.
you did.
Yeah,
Look what you did.
That wasn't a good idea. And Ryan Croak being on there isn't great either. At least he's the worst 1-0 player there. There's the juicer
Oh my
tournament
gosh.
picture. Hopefully I can climb in there and get a chance once Monday comes around.
Oh, sorry, Sydney.
Great battle between Drew and Sydney. And coming up after a break here on No Pulp, we will have lineup by lineup analysis. You won't want to miss it. We're getting into the nitty gritty of these Final Four showdowns Saturday night.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back into No Pulp. Drew Albaugh alongside Sam Reis. Sam, we've been talking a lot about these Final Four teams.
We have.
We got to go a little bit more in depth,
Let's
though,
talk
right?
more about them.
We've been talking team-wide. We got to go individual. So let's
do
put
it.
up all
ball
5
knowers,
guys.
right?
Yeah, and first off, we're going to go UConn versus Illinois. So you have the 5, starters right here for either side, respectively.
And
we're
Dan
also
Hurley
gonna-
yelling.
because why not?
yeah.
And both coaches here. First off, Sam, between a couple of guards, Silas Demery and Kylan Boswell, Who do you got between these two? Who wins this matchup?
Yeah, these are tough to decipher, but I'm still going with Demery.
Okay.
I am. And he's actually dealing with a little bit of an ankle sprain, which you might say, oh, you should pick Boswell.
Oh,
but
you should pick Boswell.
Okay, stop it. I like Demery more, though, as an overall player, and I still think he's been making a good impact off the bench. Okay. I actually respect a guy like him who's playing through a little bit of pain and getting the job done. I think overall he's just a bit of a better all-around player than Boswell. I do. And especially, you know what he is? He's a playmaker. He averages 6 assists per game compared to just 3 for Boswell. He also shoots the 3 ball about 10% better. So I think overall he has more.
You don't think that injury could hamper him a little bit?
What do you say?
His injury could hamper him a little bit?
Yeah, it can, but I think he's proven this tournament that, he's still been playing over 20 minutes.
Sure.
Good production. Double-figure scoring recently. I think overall, I'm still taking Demery, which may be a hot take. Boswell's a great player, but that's who I'm going with here, and you have to deal with it. All right.
All right. I'm not going to deal with it. I think you're wrong in that point, Sam.
All right.
But
well, let's move on to the shooting guards. Braylon Mullins versus Keaton Wagler. This should be an easy one, right?
Yeah. I mean, Mullins had his moments.
Yeah.
And to be fair, UConn wouldn't be here without him. But you got to go with Wagler. This is a guy that leads Illinois in points with almost 20 a game, in assists with 4 a contest, in steals with 1 a contest, and he does this all with efficient shooting in under 2 turnovers. I mean, this is a guy that does it all for Illinois. He was ranked 261st in the class of 2025.
Yeah, no one knew about it.
You blink, and he's a projected top 10 draft pick if he decides to go that route, that is. So this is a guy that has completely turned around his stock. Big Ten Freshman of the Year, South Region's most outstanding player. You can list out every single, I mean, he's won pretty much everything he can do as a freshman. That is not easy. And Mullins, big shot, give him credit.
Sure.
Got to go with Wagler.
I agree with you there.
Now, all right, next up, we got Stojakovic and we got Solo Ball. Who do you got between a couple of guards here for Illinois and UConn before we start getting to the taller fellas over here?
Sure, yeah. Let's stay with the somewhat shorter guys.
Andre
Stojakovic, give me him.
Okay.
I think overall he's had a more consistent season than Solo Ball. I love the way that Stojakovic has come in to this team and it has made an impact, right? As a transfer, he's the real deal, right? And I think Solo Ball, too, just been a little underwhelming for what his expectations were. I'm not saying he's had a bad season. I mean, Solo Ball has been great, but I think there's just more consistency there from Stojakovic as a shooter. He can also score in a variety of ways. Makes you real difficult to defend, where he has the mid-range game but can also drive, and you don't want to foul him. I just like Stojakovic's game overall, and that's why I have to give him the edge here over Solo Ball.
Solo Ball did lead UConn in scoring against Illinois. Back in So that'll be interesting to see what happens there.
That will be.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll have to see.
Let's move it along down the lineup to the forwards. Alex Karaban, who we talked about on the Juicer, and David Mirkovic. Who you taking?
Mirkovic, it's very tempting, right? He's a 6'9", big guy, leads Illinois in rebounding, but you gotta take Karaban. In his senior season, 2-time national championship. He could be the first guy, by the way, Sam, to win 3 national championships in over 50 years. And you can't go against a veteran like that, who's the heart and the soul of this UConn team. In tournament, he's been even better than this season averages. Almost 20 a game in March Madness, just 13 a contest in the regular season. He's been doing pretty much everything for UConn. Dan Hurley relies on him as kind of the quarterback on the field for UConn. Whenever there's a big foul and all the guys huddle up, who's talking? It's Alex Karaban.
Yeah,
He's
old now.
He's cut the nets twice, and that's why I want him. Maybe not because of the X's and O's, but because 4 years, 2 chips, you got to take it.
I respect that.
All right, we got our last couple of guys here. We have Terrace Reed and we have Tomislav Ivasic between a couple of bigger dudes on the end here, Sam. So right now, this is a big one because we got 2 Illinois, 2 UConn.
Oh, we do, yeah.
Who are you taking here to give the edge?
I'll go with Terrace Reed.
Okay.
This guy has been magnificent, especially in the tournament, right? Take nothing away from Ivasic, right? These are 2 stacked teams, and they're in the Final Four for a reason, but Terrace Reed has been out of this world in March Madness. 22 points per game, 13.5 rebounds per game. I mean, come on. He has been on another level. I also just think he's a little more of a physical presence all around. And he's been averaging nearly 10 rebounds a game this season, so he's a little bit better at grabbing those boards compared to Ivicic. So I think the offensive production from this guy has just been on another level this tournament. I will say, Reid has to get his act together, though, at the free throw line, where he's just 59%. Right. That has to be better. But everything else,
pretty much everything else, right?
All right, let's get to the head coach's cool stories all around. And, of course, it's Dan Hurley against Brad Underwood. Who do you give the edge to here?
Mr. 2 championship, Dan Hurley. There's not a lot of comparison. Love Brad Underwood. Got to rock with my guy, Dan.
Sure.
All right, we got to move on. So right now we got UConn giving the edge if you go player by player, 3 players and the coach. Will that happen in the Final Four? We'll have to see. All right, let's move on to the other side. We got Arizona and we got Michigan, Sam.
We're starting with you, too.
Yeah.
Jaden Bradley versus Elliot Cadeau. You get the ball rolling for this matchup of 1 seed.
A couple of point guards love to lead their team. And I'm going to go with Mr. Michigan himself, Elliot Cadeau, because of the edge he brings to the table. Yeah. Yes, both of these guys, very similar stats. You see it right there. Assists per game, Cadeau with over 8 a contest, but everything else pretty similar. Bradley, actually, with more points a contest. But what I love about Cadeau is his competitor, his mentality. He said to Alabama, up by just a dozen with 4 minutes left, "It's over. And he put the hand over the neck and everything. He loves to show out, ball out. Nothing is too big for Cadeau, and I want that edge on my team.
I agree.
That's why I'm going to go with him in Michigan.
That's what I give you in intramurals too. Right?
Oh, come on. In basketball?
That's swagger, anyways.
Sam.
Right.
Well, okay, all right.
I'm just kidding.
Next up, who do we got here? We got Braden Burries and Burnett.
Yeah, Namari Burnett for Michigan, great player. Braden Burries, a better player, though, in my opinion. We talked about him a little bit already. This dude is legit, and he's someone who is great at creating his own shot. Lethal. Arizona not necessarily known for their three-point shooting, right? They're more of a team who can drive into the paint.
We heard it from Sydney.
Yeah, we did. But when you need it from this guy, he can deliver. So that's why, we're comparing 2 great three-point shooters, but overall, I have to give the edge here to Braden Burries, who just gives you a little more all-around in terms of his playing style and his game. All right, let's go to the wings. Anthony Del Orso against Yaxel Lendeborg. Who we taking here?
Do you even have to ask the question?
No,
a couple of good players, but I'm going to go with probably the best player in the entire country right now, Yaxel Lendeborg, who's been even better in the tournament than he's been overall in the season. And this was a guy that averaged 15 points and 7 rebounds, but over the last 3 contests against St. Louis, Alabama, and against Tennessee, put up 25, 23, and 27. He can do it all, especially at the rack. How about that block? Get that out of here. Lendeborg can do it all for Michigan, and if you pick against him, you don't know ball. If Michigan gets all the way to the promised land, there's a non-outside chance that Lendeborg is the reason why, Sam.
Yeah, I don't think there's any arguments that can be made there, Drew.
And I wish we had a little more pushback here, but that seems pretty obvious.
That's straightforward, that part.
All right, Koa Pete and Morez Johnson, a couple of forwards here for Michigan, and we got Pete on the bottom. Does Arizona even the playing field here with 2 guys apiece?
No. More controversy. Well, give me Morris Johnson. Man. You might say, well, why are you going against Koa Pete? The guy is one of the best freshmen in the country. That's all true, but I think Johnson in this role just does a better job overall. He shoots the 3 about 6% better than him. Shoots in general better than Pete as well, and also someone who is a better free throw shooter. So all around, I think Johnson the more consistent player on the face of it. I know that might be a bit controversial, but that's who I'm going with there.
I would go with Koa Pete here. I really would. Yeah, I would even it back up. I know people would.
I just wanted to spice it up a little bit. Right. Let's go to the big men, the centers. Motiejus Krivas versus Adai Mara. Tongue twister. Who you taking?
Krivas is averaging double-digit points, 8 rebounds per game. He's been pretty much everything. But I still got to go with Mara. He's been so good. 7'3". He's 7'3" inches tall. On the other side, 7'2". So a couple of big men going back and forth.
2 feet taller than me.
You could really go with either one. But at this point, I got to go with Mara. He's been a nightmare matchup for pretty much every team. Puts up 12 points and 7 rebounds, a block and a half a game. He's been so good.
He has. Mara's a beast, and I see where you're coming from with that selection. I'm excited, though, to dive into these head coaches, Drew.
Oh, yeah. Your guy, Tommy Lloyd, and the Wildcats for Arizona. And then at the top, Dusty May, who might be one of the better X's and O's coaches that I've ever seen. This is a tough one.
It is. 2 phenomenal coaches. It comes down to riding with my guy, Tommy Lloyd. Okay? All right. I got to go with Lloyd. Dusty May, incredible, right? He brought FAU to the Final Four, which was remarkable, and proved that he's no fluke as a coach, getting back there with Michigan, a Michigan team that had 8 wins 2 seasons ago before he took over. But what Tommy Lloyd is doing is awesome. National Coach of the Year. Hear that, Luke Burgess, Ryan Croak, National Coach of the Year
you gotta bring it up
Final
again.
Four. I don't see Kelvin Sampson here. And this guy has built a national championship contender each year that, yes, has fell a bit short as of late, but I said it a few months ago. This is the year that Tommy Lloyd gets it done with Arizona, and I think he's showing that right now. He's putting all those distractions with the UNC rumors away. Okay. I think he's slightly the better coach. Give me Lloyd.
I would pick Lloyd too, but you got the 4 players up here highlighted for Michigan. We'll have to wait and see. If you go player by player, our picks would have been Michigan and UConn. We'll see if that turns out. But we have to go into what we think. Get rid of the X's and O's. What does your heart say, Sam? That's what we're going to find out right after this one. It's the Final Four predictions and who is our national championships right here on No Pulp.
Welcome to my house. Lately, not my happy place. Everybody's pretty tired of each other. The parents were not themselves. My little brothers were morphing into small creatures. The walls were closing in. Clearly a case of too much family, too close, 24/7. And there's a lot of that going around right now. If this sounds like your house, try going someplace new. YourLifeYourVoice.org. You'll find lots of ideas to help you handle the family stresses of being confined to close quarters. YourLifeYourVoice.org. It might not get you out of the house, but it could help you find a little more breathing room.
We're back on a fun hour-long edition of No Pulp. He's Drew Albaugh. I'm Sam Reis. We're rolling right along with our Final Four preview show here. We did the nitty-gritty breakdown of each lineup regarding these 4 teams in the Final Four in Indianapolis.
They were close.
They were close. Now let's get to our predictions, though. That's what everyone has been waiting for. I know it. You're on the edge of your seat waiting. We'll start with you, Drew.
Sure.
That UConn-Illinois game to begin Saturday's slate. Who are you taking in this one?
I got to go with UConn and Dan Hurley up here. Yeah. Illinois has been such a great story. I love what everything's been doing over there in Champaign, but UConn and the Huskies, after that big shot to take down Duke, I don't see him not advancing to yet another national championship under Dan Hurley. And by the way, I mean, UConn's already beaten Illinois, right? So this is a head-to-head matchup we've seen, I guess, but that wasn't super close, 13 points, granted all the way back on Black Friday.
Yeah,
it should be a close one.
It doesn't matter.
And this is a game held in Indianapolis, just a couple of hours away from Champaign, Illinois. So it should be a pretty good home crowd for Illinois.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But I don't think, and by the way, Illinois is favored in this one, 1.5.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But I still take UConn and the Huskies.
All right.
Over here, Arizona, Michigan.
Let's get to me, though.
Oh, goodness. It's your side.
We'll go back and forth,
yeah,
all right?
Okay.
We'll get to Arizona.
I was
know you're
jumpy.
excited.
I was so jumpy
You're
to get
jumpy,
my pick.
and I hate to always agree with you.
Well, do you agree
things.
with me here?
I do, though.
Okay.
Yeah, give me UConn. I don't think it matters that, they played earlier in the season. Yes, I think in certain situations it can be hard to beat the same team twice in the same season, but these squads were honestly really different at the beginning of the year that I think it's a non-factor. And I just think this Huskies team, they have that DNA, right? They proved it against Duke.
I have loyalty. You got
loyalty inside my
We've been
DNA.
talking sounds of the
go.
season all year.
Exactly right. And, Dan Hurley knows how to get it done. I'll admit it, I wasn't a believer in this UConn team, not even against Duke. I really thought the Blue Devils would take that one. They proved me wrong. I think both Caravan and Mullen shooting well from beyond the arc is a key in this one. Because you mentioned Illinois, not a team that turns the ball over a lot, so I think UConn has to be much more efficient in their offensive production throughout the game. I think they do enough, though, to get to
Illinois
the
could
Final
take
Four.
it. I would not be surprised.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised
Both
at all.
of these are coin flips
all right,
in my
let's
eyes.
get to this one. This is exciting.
I mean, a lot of people are saying this is the quote-unquote national championship before the national championship. I don't know if I'm willing to go that far, but I am willing to go far enough to say that the Wolverines keep the train moving, choo-choo, through Indianapolis, takes down Arizona, and at the end of the day, I think it's going to go down to the three-point shooting. How about that step back three straight away? This is a Wolverine squad that loves to shoot the three-point ball, and in the 3 losses this season the Wolverines have had, it was against Wisconsin, Duke, and Purdue, and combined, Michigan shot 28% from deep. So that's really the formula that Arizona's got to look at. And on the other side, we said a few separate times, but Arizona, 363rd in the nation ranking for three-point tries.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's going to go down to Arizona, and it's going to be Michigan. I got Michigan, but Sam, who takes on UConn? Is it Arizona or Michigan?
This is where I disagree with you.
Okay.
I think Arizona gets it done. All right, I'm not going to lie. This Michigan team does scare me a bit, but I'm still very confident in Arizona, right? I think a big part of this game is going to come down to that rebound battle. It's not going to be easy, right? Michigan is overall a disciplined team that, limits their fouls, but I do think overall the Wildcats can and they will win that interior battle. That's where they play at their best. You talked about their, they don't shoot the 3-ball much. It doesn't matter. They scored 109 with barely shooting any threes the other game. Like, they can still find ways to score.
That wasn't against this Michigan team.
I get it. But look, listen. Top 5 nationally in paint points per game. And they lead the nation in free throw attempts per game. They find ways. And that's what it takes in a game like this. Final Four, nitty-gritty type of victories. It's not going to be pretty. I think Arizona wins a tight one that comes down to the wire, maybe even a buzzer beater on like a putback off a rebound.
You think rebounding is going to be Arizona's strength in this one?
I think it could be.
Michigan has 3 former centers
I
to
think
be
Arizona keeps it close enough that they dominate, not dominate, but they win the battle in the paint and get the job done. You're calling me crazy for having Arizona beat
I'm not calling you crazy. I'm calling you crazy that rebounding is the reason why.
Well, no, it's okay. All right, let's.
This
get
is a
to your
Michigan team
championship.
that I
they're
think
great. They're great.
Is going to out-rebound everybody, including Arizona.
They're going to out-rebound them, but Arizona will keep it competitive enough.
I don't know, Sam.
They won't get completely dominated on the
glass.
glass.
And you know who's going to dominate? It's going to be Michigan yet again against UConn. I think this is going to be the close one. This is going to be about a 10-point win for Michigan. Dan Hurley's going to keep it close. But at the end of the day, it's going to feel like larger than 10 points.
Okay.
Michigan's going to overwhelm UConn with its size. Yaxel Lendenborg is one of the best college players I've ever seen. He can pretty much do it all. Behind the arc, also can do it inside the paint. And at the end of the day, UConn and Dan Hurley can only do so much. Without a Mullins 3 from Timbuktu, this is a UConn team that doesn't even get a chance to play Illinois, let alone Michigan. The Wolverines are going to cut down the nets, take down the Huskies, and Dusty May gets his first. That's my national championship. Sam, you don't even have Michigan with a chance to win it. You got Arizona, you got UConn. Is it a similar story? Does the 1 seed take it all the way?
I think the 1 seed takes it all the way. Yes, I do. I think Arizona gets it done. I think Arizona's most challenging test, like I think you agree, is Michigan. So I think that's the more difficult test. Don't get me wrong, UConn will put up a fight, find a way to keep it close, but I think Arizona's been the best team in college basketball from start to finish overall. They only had that 1 week with 2 losses.
Yeah.
They won 23 straight to start the season. They've won 13 straight since then. I think they rolled a victory.
Yeah, I think UConn, it's going to be tough for them to really take down either of these teams. First, got to get past Illinois, obviously.
Right.
But, I would agree. If Arizona gets past Michigan, they're going to pass UConn or Illinois.
All right, there we go. So Drew has Michigan. I have Arizona. Those are our predictions coming up after one last break on No Pulp. We'll dive into our plays of the week and give you our final words, so stick around.
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Back on No Pulp, Sam Reis,
One
Drew
last
Albaugh. Yeah, exactly. An hour goes by quick. We haven't filled it up completely just yet.
As does March Madness, man.
Absolutely.
I mean,
it flew by. Still a Final Four to look forward to, which we've been talking about all show long, and I know we're excited to close up shop here.
No, but before we close up shop, we got to get to our big three, right?
Let's do it, yeah.
Who's the three players, coaches, whatever you want to go, that deserves a national championship the most? Sam, without further ado.
Let's do it. I'm going to start with number one because I'm standing right next to him. Brad Underwood. I love this guy. Everything about him. Like just his journey as a coach, right? He was coaching community college, Dodge City Community College in Kansas, Daytona Beach Community College. He was an assistant for a long time. Like it took a while. Finally landed his dream job basically with Illinois in 2017, and he stuck with it for nearly a decade. He said after they won the Elite Eight, he dreamt of bringing this team, Illinois, to the Final Four. Now he gets to do it as a coach and to potentially win it all. I tip my cap to him. I think he deserves it a lot. You can tell.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I appreciate that you agree with me. You might agree, too, on Dusty May.
He's pretty good, too.
Yeah. Like
even though you think he's a better coach.
I'm giving the coaches some love. Yeah, I mean, Dusty May, the fact that this is a guy who also like had to prove himself in a mid-major, right? Everyone remembers it, bringing FAU to the Final Four as a 9 seed.
Wow.
And not only that, deservingly getting an opportunity at a Power 5 school like Michigan. And they were in shambles when he took over. 8 wins the year before, unheard of for the Wolverines. And in just 2 years, he's turned them around to bring them to the Final Four. I think that would be an awesome story if Dusty May can get it done.
Who's your third most?
Yeah, I'm staying with Michigan. Even though I don't think they're going to win it all, I think it would be really cool to see a guy like Axel Lendeborg win the national title. A guy who started Arizona Western, then the UAB, was an unknown commodity to begin his college career, and now he's one of the best in the nation.
Yeah, I mean,
really
I
cool.
can't disagree with these top three. Let's take a look at my big three. And I'm going to start with number 3 because I'm over here.
Sure.
I'm going to go with Braylon Mullins. And it might sound kind of out there if you look at the X's and O's, but he hit the game winner, right? Without his shot, UConn doesn't get to the Final Four.
Sure.
Then, of course, you go Keaton Wagler, and he's been one of the best players, maybe outside of Lendeborg, in the entire country. Without him, Illinois doesn't get to the Final Four.
Disrespected out of high school, too.
Oh, my goodness.
I think that's part of the story.
Yeah, and now top 10 expected NBA draft pick. And finally, Arizona's Tommy Lloyd, my guy from Washington State. How about that? Tommy Lloyd, he's your guy, he's my guy, and he's going to get his first chip. After 20 years with Gonzaga,
I love it.
He's going to take him down.
Yeah, I like those picks from the both of us. I think all people who are
they deserve
definitely deserving to come away with a national title. We'll find out by Monday night who cuts down the nets and gets the job done. All right,
I'm excited.
Time to move on. Top plays of the week.
Got to do it. Even in the Final Four preview, got to see it.
Exactly right. This is fun. And it's all of college sports that we get to choose from here. So we're branching out beyond basketball. So this is a fun part of the show. And I'm actually going to the softball field for my
play.
Look at this. Oh my goodness. Reis Atwood, the no-look
Did he
pickoff.
catch it? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. This was a beauty. Texas versus Texas A&M. You're talking about the best catcher in the country, by the way, in Reis Atwood. Look at it again. She's squared up to second base like she's going to try to throw the runner out there. And the runner at third has no idea it's coming her way. Whoop! Easy out.
That's nice.
Filthy.
That's
a great top play from me, right?
Come on. I like it.
Thank you.
Not as good as my top play, though.
Are you kidding me?
Because it's a little hot in here. I got to cool myself off with some Frozen 4 action. But I'm not talking D1. I'm talking D3. Hamilton versus Hobart in the chip. And oh my goodness, off the post and in for the win. Wow. That was the Sturgeon's second goal, of the entire season. And it got Hamilton's its first national championship over Hobart. By the way, a couple of schools right in the neighborhood of Syracuse. How about that? Look at that pass right at the doorstep, bar down. Hamilton wins it in D3. How about that championship for Hamilton over Hobart?
I love it, Drew. Some Division III hockey love. But let's focus for my final word back to the hardwood and Division I basketball, to be precise. Sure, there were no Cinderella runs in this year's NCAA tournament on the women's or men's side. And while I love a good Cinderella story, having none means we get an absolutely loaded slate for the next 4 days. Let's start with the women's Final Four tomorrow, where, yes, all 4 1 seeds made it. And sure, it's the same 4 teams from last year, but that means best on best and some awesome storylines. Of course, UConn has the target on its back with 54 straight wins, and you know South Carolina wants revenge after losing to the Huskies in the title game last year. And then UCLA, Texas, a battle between 2 teams who both fell a step short of the national title game a year ago. On the men's side, UConn and Illinois, 2 very talented teams who have proved they deserve their spot this weekend. Not to mention a battle of 1 seeds between Arizona and Michigan that really is a national championship caliber matchup. Of course, it was great a few years back when FAU made it all the way to this weekend as a 9 seed, but having the top teams in the Final Four this year makes for some awesome matchups and must-see TV.
Wow, Sam. How about that final word? All right. Well, for my final word, the reality of sports is that only one team ends on top, and everyone else is left with what could have been. That's true for players, coaches, and for fans. As Illinois searches for its first ever national championship, one fan knows what if more than most. 76-year-old David Woods, a longtime Illinois basketball reporter, grew up in Champaign. His first basketball memory, 1964, watching unranked Illinois destroy John Wooden's number 2 UCLA Bruins by almost 30. He went with his mother, Helen, now who's about to turn 100. Helen was just a teenager in 1943 when top-ranked Illinois, nicknamed the Whiz Kids, gave up their title shot after 3 starters were drafted to serve in World War II. David went on to cover sports across Illinois for decades. Presidents changed, wars ended, the internet arrived. But one thing stayed consistent: his love for Illinois basketball and his hope for a title. Let's remember that sports is just a game, sure, but it's also a rich heritage that is woven with history, emotion, and undying commitment. I leave you with a quote from David Woods himself ahead of this weekend. "In the press seating, I will be a model of decorum. Inside, the emotions will be roiling, and that emotion is what it means to be a fan." Well, Sam, wow. Will the fandom of Illinois and all 4 of these teams get it done? We'll have to wait and see. But you know what I don't want to see ever happen, Sam?
What's that?
It's you leaving CitrusTV. Oh my goodness. Sam, you've meant so much to the station and to me personally. You're going to be well missed, my friend. And how about all of these great memories?
Ah, geez. Some of these should be illegal.
Look at the orange juice gulp there. Sam, thanks so much for everything you've done.
Oh, well, I don't even know where to start, Drew. This station has meant the world to me since freshman year, right? Coming down here as a freshman, you know, you envision kind of getting to this point, but never realize how cool it is until you get there. And so many people have helped me get to this point, to be a part of No Pulp, On the Bench. So many great shows. Q's Countdown.
You've done it all.
It's been a true honor here, and I really appreciate the kind words, Drew.
Yeah, and you're taller than a Coke bottle, so you can ride
That's
that ride.
At Oracle Park, San Francisco.
Wow. I mean, there's just so many different memories you can choose from here, Sam. Is there one from CitrusTV that you're going to remember the most? Maybe No Pulp specific while we're here?
One from CitrusTV. Ooh, No Pulp.
Is it that moment?
Yeah.
You see the picture?
Winning the juicer, definitely my favorite moment.
There you go.
My favorite time at CitrusTV. getting to report on the Duke game at Cameron
I'm going to miss
Indoor.
you, Sam. I'm going to miss you
too.
As will the rest of the station. Thanks so much.
Yeah, appreciate you. Wow, what a blast it's been here on No Pulp. It's been an absolute ride of a lifetime. It's not about me, though. It's about our fantastic producers, led by Nick King. And for Drew Albaugh, I'm Sam Reis. Thanks so much for tuning in the last hour.